बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम, अस्सलाम वालेकुम। फोकस विद फायज़ा में खुश आमदीद। इस प्रोग्राम में हम बात करेंगे बहुत ही अहम पॉलिसी के हवाले से जो हाल ही में पहली दफ़ा पाकिस्तान की जो है जिसको मुरतब दिया गया है नेशनल सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी। ये नेशनल सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी पिछली सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी से किस तरीके से मुख्तलिफ है, इसकी ख़द व ख़ाल क्या है और इसकी अहमियत क्या है पाकिस्तान के लिए और पाकिस्तान की तरक्की के लिए और पाकिस्तानी अवाम के लिए। इसको जानने के लिए हमारे साथ मुअज़्ज़ज़ मेहमान मौजूद हैं। डॉक्टर राबिया अख्तर साहिबा, अस्सलाम वालेकुम, बहुत खुश आमदीद फोकस विद फायज़ा में। डॉक्टर राबिया अख्तर जो हैं ये डायरेक्टर हैं सेंटर फॉर सिक्योरिटी स्ट्रैटेजी एंड पॉलिसी रिसर्च, यूनिवर्सिटी ऑफ लाहौर में। शी इज़ एन एकेडमिशियन, शी इज़ अ स्कॉलर, और ये बहुत सारे स्टूडेंट्स के लिए, बहुत सारे एकेडमिशियंस के लिए इनके जो पेपर्स होते हैं, इनका जो पॉलिसी रिसर्च है, दैट इज़ एनलाइटनिंग इन अ लॉट ऑफ वेज। लेकिन आज डॉक्टर राबिया अख्तर हमारे साथ इसलिए भी मौजूद हैं बिकॉज ये उस वर्किंग ग्रुप का हिस्सा रही हैं जिसने जेंडर और सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी तश्कील देने में जो 2022 से 2026 तक है उसमें एक बहुत अहम किरदार अदा किया है। बहुत शुक्रिया डॉक्टर राबिया अख्तर, आपने वक्त निकाला और इस नशिस्त में आप हमारे जो लोग हैं ऑडियंस को थोड़ा सा बता सकेंगी इस नेशनल सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी के हवाले से। डॉक्टर राबिया, मैंने देखा कि इसका जो ओपनिंग स्टेटमेंट जो प्राइम मिनिस्टर साहब का आया था, उन्होंने कुछ मेंशन किया था कि बोल्ड विजन्स एंड बिग आइडियाज़, एंड उसका जिस्ट ये था दैट इट्स इम्पॉर्टेंट फॉर ह्यूमन प्रोग्रेस एंड प्रॉस्पेरिटी। अब बोल्ड विजन्स और बिग आइडियाज़ में जब हम व्हेन वी ब्रिंग इट डाउन टू दिस नेशनल सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी, शुरुआत सिर्फ यहाँ से करूँगी कि शुरुआत ही इसकी ऐसी डिबेट से हुई कि इस पॉलिसी को बनाने में तमाम तर लोगों को, जितने पार्लिमानी लोग हैं, जितनी पॉलिटिकल पार्टीज़ हैं, उनको ऑन बोर्ड नहीं लिया गया, यानी कि इंक्लूसिविटी इसमें नहीं थी। शायद ये मुसल्लत की जा रही है नेशनल सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी में। आप उस वर्किंग ग्रुप का हिस्सा रही हैं, आप इस बात को किस तरीके से जो है वो बताती हैं आवाम को?
Thank you so much, Faisa, for having me here. It's a pleasure to interact with you every time. So national security policy के ऊपर काफ़ी तनकीद हुई है. A lot of people, have raised issues with respect to its inclusivity, as you have mentioned, but also as respect to कि जी बहुत थोड़ी information हमें release की गई है, not a bigger chunk, and we don't know where this is going to head. With respect to inclusivity, government as well as our national security advisor, Dr. Moeed Yusuf, has also made a comment of it कि जितने stakeholders हैं, चाहे वो गवर्नमेंट है, वो ऑपोजिशन है, वो सेनेट की फॉरेन स्टैंडिंग कमेटीज़ हैं, फॉरेन अफेयर्स की, so all stakeholders have been a part of this process and they have been informed about कि जी salient features इस security policy के क्या हैं. So the rest is all politics that you hear कि जी इसमें inclusivity नहीं थी, हमें personally inform करके नहीं बताया गया. There were many working groups that have been working for years to put this together, and I would take government statement on its face value when they say that stakeholders have been consulted, then the stakeholders must have been consulted.
और because आप working group का हिस्सा रहे हैं तो ये बात भी आपके इल्म में और आप लोगों को बता सकेंगे बेहतर कि 2014 से लेके जो सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसीज़ हैं उनके भी कुछ हिस्से इसमें शामिल किए गए हैं?
जी हाँ, so डॉक्टर मोईद यूसुफ himself जब उन्होंने बात की इस बारे में तो he did not say कि ये इमरान खान की गवर्नमेंट की पॉलिसी है. He said कि इस पॉलिसी के ऊपर पिछले 7 साल से काम हो रहा है. तो विच मीन्स कि पाकिस्तान की पिछली जो नेशनल सिक्योरिटी इंटरनल सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसीज़ रिलीज़ हुई 2014 ऑनवर्ड्स, उन सब के जो सेलियंट फीचर्स हैं वो इसका पार्ट हैं. और इंक्लूसिविटी उस लिहाज से भी आप देख सकते हैं, इंक्लूसिविटी इज़ नॉट ओनली कि सारे स्टेक होल्डर्स के ऊपर काम हुआ है, इट इज़ ऑल्सो कि जो पिछली गवर्नमेंट्स ने जितनी मेहनत की नेशनल सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसीज़ पे, क्या वो इस गवर्नमेंट ने कैरी फॉरवर्ड की या स्क्रैच से उस पर काम शुरू किया. सो द गुड थिंग इज़ दैट दिस गवर्नमेंट इज़ नॉट सेइंग कि जी हम सबसे पहले हैं जिन्होंने इसके ऊपर काम किया. जिससे कि पिछले 7 सालों से जो नेशनल सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसीज़ हैं, जो इंटरनल नेशनल सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसीज़ हैं, उनको हम साथ लेकर चले हैं और वो उसका पार्ट है.
एक टेक्निकल क्वेश्चन पूछूंगी डॉक्टर राबिया कि एक होती है कंटिन्यूइंग पॉलिसी, द कंटिन्यूटीज़ ऑफ पॉलिसीज़ किस तरह इम्पैक्ट करती हैं मुल्कों को. अब ये कंटिन्यूटी हो गई, हमने पुरानी पॉलिसीज़ के उसमें इंपॉर्टेंट पॉइंट्स ऐड कर लिए, लेकिन इस नेशनल सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी को जो 2022 से लेकर 2026 तक है, ये किस तरीके से मुख्तलिफ है पिछली सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी से?
सो जो इसका सेलिंग पॉइंट है एक आम आदमी के लिए वो ये है कि ह्यूमन सिक्योरिटी की जो डायमेंशन है वो इतनी ज़्यादा नुमायाँ पिछली पॉलिसीज़ में नहीं थी. आप पाकिस्तान के बारे में जिस किसी से भी बात करें, everybody says पाकिस्तान is a security state. This means कि securitization की तरफ, territorial security की तरफ, internal security की threats की तरफ बहुत ज़्यादा लोग गवर्नमेंट्स का फोकस रहा है पहले. ये नेशनल सिक्योरिटी पॉलिसी का जो डायमेंशन ह्यूमन सिक्योरिटी का है, प्रायोरिटाइजिंग इकोनॉमिक सिक्योरिटी, दैट इकोनॉमिक सिक्योरिटी इज नॉट ओनली द रीजनल इकोनॉमिक सिक्योरिटी कलेक्टिवली बट ऑल्सो एन इंडिविजुअल्स इकोनॉमिक सिक्योरिटी विद इन पाकिस्तान एज वेल. सो आई थिंक ये जो फोकस है ये बिल्कुल नया फोकस है. आई एज अ सिटीजन ऑफ पाकिस्तान, आई एज एन इंडिविजुअल, आई एम हैप्पी दैट माई गवर्नमेंट इज थिंकिंग अबाउट my employment opportunities, me putting food on the table, and me not having the despair of unemployment. And recently abhi reports released हुई हैं कि Pakistan is doing much better on unemployment as compared to its other countries in the region. So I think this is the main difference between other security policies that have been more inward looking territorial security as compared to this one, which has prioritized human security as a main pillar of economic security.
Okay, and when we talk about security, so we talk about the geostrategic atmosphere, and we talk about Pakistan's threats, external threats to Pakistan's sovereignty. So, do you feel that this is a shift from a geostrategic focus to a geo-economic focus?
So one of the myths about this national security policy is that the way it has been, touted about, people think कि जी बिल्कुल ही आपने जियो स्ट्रैटेजी को पीछे छोड़ दिया है और आप सिर्फ जियो इकोनॉमिक्स की बात करें, तो ऐसा नहीं है. आई थिंक पाकिस्तान जिस रीजन में है सिचुएटेड, पाकिस्तान के जो थ्रेट परसेप्शंस हैं वो वक्त के साथ साथ एम्पलीफाई हो रहे हैं रादर दैन कि वो कम हो रहे हैं, स्पेशली आफ्टर US withdrawal from Afghanistan as well. So no government, whether this government or the previous governments or the coming governments, can not leave geostrategy behind and just focus on geoeconomics. So this national security policy has found a balance between both. We're still talking about in this national security policy to securitize Pakistan, deal with its threat perceptions, but also find a place for Pakistan in the community of nations to take a leadership role in the region with respect to economic connectivity. So that's the focus. It is not entirely an exceptional zone, mutually exclusive zone कि जी जियो economics की बात हो रही है तो जियो strategy की नहीं होगी. They are in tandem and there is an overlap.
Okay, so it's not just specifically geo-economic. डॉक्टर राबिया, एक जो बहुत ही इंटरेस्टिंग पहलू है वो है जेंडर सिक्योरिटी का, और आपने इस पर काफ़ी काम भी किया है. दिस इज़ आई थिंक एन एरिया ऑफ इंटरेस्ट फॉर यू एज वेल. डू यू थिंक दैट द जेंडर सिक्योरिटी फोकस has been focused on in this particular way for the first time in our national security policy?
I believe so, that this, and credit goes to this government, so I've been part of this national security working group on gender and national security, and because I work on national security issues as part of my area of research, I know that there are very few women or female voices in the government, in the foreign office, who work on national security. And this is not only true for Pakistan, this is true for the foreign policy and national security domain universally, that there are very few women in this field. When the government set up this national security working group, we were very happy that at least some focus is going to be shifted towards that. And now that gender and national security has found a place written in the national security policy, I think it's a huge achievement. And what is it basically? So we are talking about equality of women in security sector in particular. And what are your security sectors? Your police is your security sector, your law and order domain, your legal domains, your military. These are all your security sector domains. So the idea is, to bring more women into this field, give them more employment opportunities, and talk about and adopt a gender sensitive language, rather than calling a female police officer lady police, you should call her police officer, using gender sensitive language as chairperson and not a chairman. So just छोटी चीज़ें जिनको कि change कर हम sensitization create कर सकते हैं. And the most important part is that gender-based violence has made it to the national security policy the first time. Pakistan में gender-based violence बहुत ज़्यादा है, बहुत सी और countries में भी है, लेकिन पाकिस्तान की national security policy में इस जब आप ह्यूमन सिक्योरिटी को प्रायोरिटाइज कर रहे हैं तो आप ये कह रहे हैं कि एक जेंडर बेस्ड, नॉट ओनली जस्ट वुमेन, all genders should find security against violence. And violence की definition is pretty wide. It is not only domestic violence, it is any form of violence, extremism, crime, or terrorism. So all forms of extremism and violence are covered in it, but more specifically GBV making place into it is really, really heartening and a progressive attitude.
So here's the difficult part. It looks all good on paper. To make this gender security actually visible, on ground, how difficult is that, or how challenging is that?
I think, like you made this opening statement that all good things start with an idea. So if you yourself are not prioritizing it as a government, then obviously you're not going to take it to the ministries, and the ministries are not going to take it to the various provincial setups. Provincial setups won't take it to the lower levels where actually things need to get implemented. So it is right now it seems a top-bottom approach, but if it works, why not? I think we need to start talking about all of these things, and implementation starts from government taking the ownership of making it a more inclusive space where security sector is concerned. So yes, there are challenges, but I think first step has been taken, and so I'm an optimist, so we need to have a positives about it.
It's always good to either see the glass as half full or just see that the glass is refillable anyways.
Absolutely.
Dr. Rabia, coming from this individual and gender based security issues, coming back again to the country's security challenges, when we look at the region, Pakistan is strategically placed in a very advantageous as well as a geostrategically sensitive position. So when we're talking about regional stability, how do you see this national security policy addressing those questions vis-a-vis Pakistan's role in the region and Pakistan's progress at the same time?
I think it's an excellent question. So a lot of people think KG, now that you have shifted the focus to geoeconomics, aap geostrategy ko bhul gaye. But like I said, Pakistan ki jo geography hai, it's both a blessing and a curse for Pakistan. जो post US withdrawal अभी जो region की situation है, leadership का vacuum है, region को itself नहीं पता कि किधर जाना है, पाकिस्तान इंडिया का dialogue stalemate पे है, there is nothing happening in that regard. So I think बहुत से challenges हैं जो कि सिर्फ internal ही नहीं है, internal as well. TTP post August 15th last year has become more emboldened. पाकिस्तान की internal security threats amplify हो गए हैं, इंडिया की disinformation campaign against Pakistan and funding of TTP and BLA groups. I think all of these things come together. कहीं भी challenges कम नहीं हैं. When you come to strategic stability, to me it is a combination of Pakistan ki crisis stability and deterrent stability. So as long as you don't plug the gaps jahan India and Pakistan find space for crisis and then crisis escalates, and that escalation then translates into war and leading to a nuclear war, that's where the real threat spectrum is. So those spaces still remain, and I think it is high time that Pakistan and India restart their strategic dialogue to plug in the gaps so that we have some form of continued stability in the region. And national security policy refers to all these aspects very comprehensively.
When you're talking about those spaces, those trigger spaces or those vacuums, ab usme we cannot ignore Kashmir, the resolutions on Kashmir, and how Pakistan keeps talking about Kashmir getting its right to a plebiscite. Now, when we look at this national security policy, are you as a scholar, as a Pakistani at the same time, are you comfortable with how the direction of the national security policy looks like right now in making sure that Kashmir attains its freedom in the future?
I think, August 5th, 2019 se onwards, Pakistan has used every international space national and international space, moving along with the diasporas that are present abroad, have tried to divert world's attention towards what India is doing. It's just the problem is that India is strategically extremely important for United States at the moment to counter China. And there is nothing that Pakistan can do that is going to shift the US focus to the human rights violations that are occurring in IIOJK. So Pakistan has not left the ground. It's still very much in the playing field, very much uses lawfare options. Our Ambassador Munir Akram in United Nations makes continuous references to divert world attention. But the thing is that countries work on national interest basis, right? So as long as United States finds, or the other countries find India useful in fighting their wars with China, there will be very little progress that's going to be made on Kashmir. But should the world look at that as Pakistan's failure? I don't think so. I think Pakistan, has used the OIC forum. The recently concluded OIC CFM has also made a mention of Kashmir and Palestine, and they are very, adamant about it. That the world, while it sees Ukrainian refugees, while it sees the war waged by Russia, there are Kashmiri Muslims as well that are fighting Indian occupation for so long. So Pakistan is doing everything in its part to make mention of the resolutions, and that is the only way to go about it. Fighting a war with India over it is not the solution.
And you were talking about the dialogue stalemate with India, but given this environment and given what's been happening over the past few years, especially after February 27th and Operation Swift Retort, right now we had an incident at Mia Channu where, according to the Indian press release, it was an accidentally fired missile which turned out to be a BrahMos cruise missile, and Pakistan is wanting and is asking and has asked on the world platform as well that we need a joint probe. How responsible has India been in terms of this BrahMos missile, and how handling of these defense systems? And number two, how effective has India's response been when Pakistan has inquired about this accidental fire?
This incident, has raised all sorts of questions, not only on India's command and control system, but also the standard operating procedures that they have in place. Pakistan has called for a joint probe. This missile, for its entire time from its launch until its detonation and impact in Mia Channu, was tracked by Pakistan Air Force, and the world is lauding Pakistan Air Force restraint that it did not shoot down. There are many explanations that have been put out there, but until and unless the result of the inquiry from the Indian side comes, we are never going to know as to what actually transpired. How was it launched? How was it accidental? And the questions that I've been raising are that, what if this missile had a warhead in it? What if on impact it had exploded and there were massive casualties in Mia Channu? So these are some of the questions that the world also needs to ask. OIC has made a mention of it in its statement at the concluding ceremony of the CFMs, and that is the importance of it. The missile time between India and Pakistan is 3 to 4 minutes if a war happens. And if Pakistan needs to think, was it actually an accidental missile, or was India testing the air defense preparedness of Pakistan? So we need to keep an open mind, do a lot of scenarios, building thought processes, thought exercises around it. What if next time an armed drone accidentally gets launched and detonated inside Pakistan? So Pakistan and India have a 1991 agreement which is about airspace violations, but that only refers to aircraft airspace violations. I think it is high time that India and Pakistan revise that and include missiles, accidental missile launches, and accidental armed drone launches in it as well, and add that as an addendum, because you just cannot sit back and afford to relax about it, that it was an accidental launch, so let's not shoot it down and let it travel 100 kilometers in Pakistani territory. These type of assumptions during wartime, peacetime even, are very, very dangerous.
You spoke about revisiting, those agreements between Pakistan and India. Just a subset of this question would be that India is also part of, the missile programs, global. There have been a couple that I've seen, and you'd obviously be more aware of those. That obviously comes into question also, because when you're talking about responsibility about your command and control systems, and then you're also part of these, these world bodies that are actually looking into controlling the working of these missiles. So that obviously, reflects on India's capabilities as a country.
Absolutely does. India is part of the missile technology control regime. It is in the process of selling its BrahMos missiles, and Philippines is one of the buyers. So the obvious question Philippines needs to ask now is that BrahMos even safe now that they've invested in buying it?
Since India said it was accidentally fired.
Yes, accidentally fired. So what does accidental launch actually mean? How do you launch a missile accidentally? So there are a lot of questions, like I said, and Pakistan is waiting for India's inquiry to come in. I really should not have much hopes about it, because we never know. India is never going to come clean as to what actually happened and transpired.
But the fact that Pakistan is pushing for a joint probe, hopefully that finds some sort of unanimous ground on the world global platform. Thank you so much, Dr. Rabia Akhtar, for being with us and explaining to us the minute details or the complexities that are around the national security policies, or the many questions that you might have about why the security policy is not giving an action plan, because it's not supposed to give an action plan or show you the executions. Those come at a later stage, and most of them might not even be for the public consumption. Thank you so much, Dr. Rabia Akhtar. Wish you all the best for your work, and hopefully we'll be talking to you about national security policy, geostrategic, geoeconomic relationships in the future as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Faiza. Pleasure is mine.
इस प्रोग्राम के लिए इतना ही. अपना ख्याल रखिएगा. अल्लाह हाफ़िज़.